O'clock, so call the meeting to order.
I can tell.
Thank you. If anyone in the audience is recording or videotaping, they need to acknowledge such at this time.
I've been trying to, but my request to record this meeting was disallowed.
Oh,
Yeah, we do not create the recording through Zoom using the town account. It creates a public record for us. So feel free to use your own device to record, not the Zoom.
and they're on Bourne TV, right?
Yep, and you are on Bourne TV.
Okay. Use of flash photography during finance committee meetings is prohibited. If anyone from the public wishes to access the meeting, they can do so by calling the following conference line, 1-929-205-6099. Zoom meeting ID 889-3244-2865. Password FinCom, all capitals FINCOM. The Zoom chats will not be monitored. Participants who wish to speak must raise the hand icon until the chair asks them to unmute. All items in the meeting agenda are subject to deliberation and votes. So first is no excused members. Carla is away. Everyone else is here. And then review special town meeting articles, starting with Article 1, committee reports.
Yes. So Article 1 is a standing article that we have on every town meeting warrant. At this time, I'm not aware of any committees who will be making a report, but if there are committees who do want to make a report to the body, they should reach out to the moderator for that.
Thank you. Next, operating budget adjustments.
Thank you. So I did hand out a sheet to everyone at the table, and I will follow up with an electronic copy after the meeting. I will go through this fairly detailed so Priscilla can hear it as well. So the first department you see listed is the fire department. And we are proposing adjustments to 4 of their wage lines: salaries for supervisors, salaries for firefighters, holiday pay, and longevity. All of these salary adjustments are tied to the settled contract between the town and the IAFF. So these are the adjustments that are necessary to fund that collective bargaining agreement for the current fiscal year, FY26.
It's a one-year agreement?
No, it is a 3-year agreement, but these are the budget adjustments for the current fiscal year. The contract terms will be built into the budget for FY27. But this contract was open when we voted the budget in May, at the May town meeting. We since closed with them and are going back now to make those salary adjustments.
Okay, and can we have the percentage? Or you want to hold off on that?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
I can't really, you mean the percentage for these adjustments?
No, in other words, what was the percentage of the raise increase?
So it was a 2.5% COLA, but there were all other sorts of adjustments. So it's not, it wasn't just a straight percentage. There were step changes, there were, so I can't necessarily give you just a straight percentage for the contract. I can tell you what these lines are, if that's helpful.
Oh, that's okay.
No? Okay. All right. Any other questions for the IAFF adjustments? Okay. The next group of budget adjustments are for the fire department and the police department in their overtime lines. Overtime for the public safety departments is something we can't necessarily budget for accurately year after year. We don't know what gaps will be in the schedule in any certain year and what sorts of calls will be responded to. However, we do know that we are we're not fully funding this line. And I'm not proposing to bring this budget up to fully funding it, but I do want to catch up the budgeted amount a little bit. I know that the budget for police and fire overtime for FY '26 it's not enough. At the end of the year, we will make adjustments like we always do. But for the fall town meeting, I am recommending that we increase the fire department overtime line by $15,000 and the police department overtime line by $5,000. And both of these are just about 13% increases for these budgets. And right now, there are a lot of vacancies due to injury in the fire department. So there's a lot of gaps in that schedule that we're backfilling with overtime, which is why I'm proposing more to be added to the fire department overtime line right now. Any questions with that grouping? Okay, the next grouping is the town administrator's office. And we have a number of changes happening here that are also tied in with the facilities, which is the next group. So I'm going to kind of talk about these a little bit together. But the first one is just to correct an error. We had a math error when we budgeted for the assistant town administrator salary. So that is the first line. That was just a mistake on our part when we entered the budget. So we're correcting that mistake. The next line is similar to IAFF, the BEA group. We're not closed yet, but we did agree, the select board and the group did agree to a side letter to agree to the 2.5% COLA. So this adjustment that you see of $2,721 is that 2.5% COLA adjustment for that position. So similar to IAFF, when we funded the budget at the May town meeting, we didn't know where we stood with this group. We're still not totally closed, but before the close of last fiscal year, we did agree to a side letter for COLA. So we're going now back to town meeting to fix these budgets or to adjust these budgets to specify the 2.5% COLA. So that 2721 is the COLA adjustment. I'm going to skip the next line for a minute, and the $19 is also based on the COLA adjustment for the member who is eligible for longevity. So that's the longevity adjustment for that position based on the COLA increase. Two things are happening with the town administrator's office salaries clerical line. This is an increase of $13,843 for this position. This increase includes the 2.5% COLA adjustment for the BEA contract. It also changes this position from 30% sewer to 0% sewer. So right now, this position is funded 70% general fund, 30% sewer enterprise fund. This adjustment will make it 100% general fund, and there will be $0 in this position for the sewer enterprise fund. The reason for that is in the next grouping down below with facilities. So we've had a number of changes with the facilities department since town meeting, and I went to the select board over the summer for a reorganization of facilities. And the select board agreed, and the facilities are going to be transferred into the DPW, which is consistent with the language of the charter. So it's going to be housed under the DPW director. And we're adding a new position for administrative assistant. And that position in the DPW will be 30% sewer enterprise fund and 70% general fund. So those sewer tasks are not going away. They're being transferred from the town administrator's office into the DPW. And that position will be 30% sewer and shared with facilities. So it'll be 70% general fund to take on the facilities administrative tasks and 30% sewer. And that will all be within the DPW.
Jim?
Sure.
Could you just clarify for us what facilities does? In other words, in this particular title, what does facilities mean?
This is essentially all of the town buildings, not including schools.
Right, okay,
So it's operations and maintenance of the town buildings.
okay. And who does operation of the schools?
That is the school department's responsibility. They are staffed within the school department.
Okay,
So the charter is very clear that the DPW is responsible for the municipal, non-school buildings.
mm-hmm.
I have a question.
Yeah, Amanda?
Sorry. So, where it's split, 70% general fund, 30% sewer, so the $36,011, is that the total for both, or is that only the general fund portion?
That's the general fund
Only.
portion.
Okay, thank
Because the sewer part is already budgeted.
So you're not, I got it, okay, thank you.
The 30% sewer is already budgeted,
Already
so
there.
that part's not new.
Gotcha, okay,
Um,
thank you.
This column here is only showing the changes.
Got it, thank you.
And then if you go up one line to facilities, salaries, department head, we're showing an increase in that line of $12,765. And part of the reorganization was to not fund the facilities manager position and instead fund a higher level facilities director position. So this is that the facilities manager salary will be shifted into the director line along with an additional $12,765. So this is funding a higher level position than we have attempted to use in the past. Any questions with that?
Do we have a candidate in that position?
No, we do not. The position is vacant. There's no incumbent employee. We also don't have, the job posting, I think the job was just posted on Friday. So we don't have a candidate pool yet.
Gotcha, okay.
Both of these positions, thank you, that's a good point. Both of these positions in facilities that you see being funded here are empty at this point. So these will be 2 new staff people that we will be bringing on once provided the town meeting funds this.
Gotcha, thank you.
We are not affecting any current staff. Any other questions about that's a little bit confusing because we've got the sewer split in there, but we're essentially consolidating sewer and facilities in DPW per the charter and taking those threads out of the town administrator's office.
Makes sense.
Okay. Library, the first line, the department head, is the BEA COLA adjustment for that position. The next line, library salaries clerical, an addition of $9,893. Unfortunately, this summer, after town meeting after the budget was voted. Unfortunately, this summer, we had a member of the library staff pass away. That position was a part-time position, but it was at 20 hours a week, so it was benefited. So given the change in, given that we need to make a change with staffing, I feel like now is the time where, because we are already funding the benefits, if we increase the salary line, we can bring on a full-time person. So this is a change from a currently vacant part-time benefited position to a full-time benefited position. So we would be going from 20 hours a week to 37 and a half hours a week. And that will give the library director additional flexibility in scheduling, especially to meet evening and weekend, Saturday hours. So again, because of the vacancy, usually we would do something like this at an annual town meeting, but because of the vacancy and not moving forward and filling a part-time benefited position, we felt like it would be the right time to come forward to you with this request. Any questions for that one? The next four: finance, accounting, finance assessor, financing treasurer collector, and the DNR department head are all, these changes are all associated with that BEA COLA, the 2.5% COLA for BEA. Any questions with those? Now, the way that we are proposing to fund these adjustments are to increase the use of the ambulance reserve fund by $100,000, and that's specifically to offset the fire department increase. So in the FY26 budget, $1.5 million was used from the ambulance reserve fund to offset the cost of the fire department staffing. At this town meeting, we are asking to increase that from 1.5 to $1.6 million to offset the fire department staffing. The remainder of the changes will be paid for from the previously allocated salary reserve. So if you remember from our discussions before Maytown meeting, because the contracts were open, we put money aside in a salary reserve to be used as things were settled out. Anything, do you have anything to add to that, Erica? Did I misstate anything or?
Nope.
Okay. Forget anything? Okay. So these will be laid out in Article 2. The motion will have the budget is voted by function area, so it'll have a public safety function, a general government function, and we'll have these in that motion by the budget functions. So any questions for Article 2 right now? I realize you're just seeing it for the first time. We'll be able to talk about it at your next two meetings as well, if questions come up.
Just a point of order,
Yes.
are we going to wait until future meetings to vote on these articles?
I think so, because we
Okay.
didn't put the agenda item for that.
I will add one thing, Marlene. I just wanted to let you know that when we did move forward with increasing the amount of ambulance receipts reserve, we did do an analysis of the fund, and there is adequate balance there, and we don't have any concerns with increasing it to this amount for this year and the years going forward.
Yes.
So we did do that review.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next, capital stabilization.
We are, we do have an article on the warrant to fund some money from capital stabilization. This will be the excess host community fee from ISWIM. FY '26, we did use more ISWIM host community fee in the budget than we had in the past. Can you remind me, previously, before FY '26, we had been funding the budget at 600,000. FY '26, we funded it at,
I believe 700,000.
I think 700,000 as well. So, but we will double check that. But we did use more, in the budget as a funding source, so there's less excess, right? So there's less excess to go into capital stabilization. But we took what we needed for the operating budget, and now the rest will be transferred into capital stabilization. And did you say it was
367,000 approximately.
Yeah, so we'll finalize that number we'll finalize that number before we get to town meeting, but that's what generally we're looking at to transfer into the capital stabilization fund.
Okay, thank you. All right, next, Article 11, easements for Barlow's Landing Road and Shore Road.
Good evening, Matt Sawicki, Public Works Director. So we completed our final design for Barlow's Landing and Shore Road intersection improvements, which were approved last year at May's town meeting. When we finalized the survey, we will need to acquire 2 permanent easements. One is 302 square feet and one is 57 square feet. We just received the surveyed plans about a week and a half ago, so we're still going through the appraisal process. We wanted to get this on your radar. So as soon as we have those appraisals, hopefully we can get this to go through at fall town meeting. We're still waiting on the results of the grant application for this project. We haven't received yes or no yet on that, and the project was approved with us going through with the grant, but we have not received the final money yet. We may not have to ask for more money. If we do get that grant, there may be enough in the article to cover any dollar amount we need to purchase those easements. But at this time, we don't know where we stand with that at this time.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Oh, I'm sorry. Go.
Is it public where the easements are located, or is that still under negotiations?
We do have draft plans.
Yeah, I mean, I can give you the draft plans. It's 375 and 369 Barlow's Landing.
I mean, which-
Corner Cafe and Graziella's.
Right.
And we will have the plans in the book. And they're minor.
Right.
They're minor easements.
I have copies of the plans now,
Yeah.
I can give to you for your review.
Sure, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion on Article 11?
How much was the grant?
Was it 475?
So the project was approved at 423, and I believe the grant was for 243.
Okay, thank you.
$264 was the grant we asked for.
Okay, thank you.
Any idea when the approval will come?
They keep telling me soon. I reached out last week and it was soon again, so. And we're kind of holding off on really kicking up any construction until we hear on that.
Right, great, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, Article 12, MBTA zoning.
Hello, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. I'm Jennifer Copeland, Town Planner, and I'm here tonight to talk about the zoning article proposed for town meeting. I have John Duggan is our Planning Board Chair, and we also have Catherine Walton online. So he's going to scroll through the slides. I can tell you in In January of 2021, there's Massachusetts legislature adopted an economic development bond bill that made changes to the zoning act. The law is added a new section, Section 3A to the zoning act of Chapter 40A, Mass General Law, which requires MBTA communities to have at least one zoning district of reasonable size in which multifamily housing is permitted as of right. The MBTA community law creates zoning that encourages the new missing middle housing in areas served by public transit. Housing created under this law would provide opportunities for people to live, work, and thrive in walkable neighborhoods closer to transit. Bourne is one of 177 communities that are required under the MBTA zoning law to create zoning for multifamily housing. The planning board has been working on this for a couple of years. We have an interim action plan, and we remain in compliance until December 31st of this year. So the planning board selected the downtown district of Buzzards Bay for a new overlay district. And I think it's just one article for review and consideration at the October 20th special town meeting. There's also a map that I'll show you that we can go through as well. And I think we can, actually, Will Radigan from CHAPA, it's a Citizen Housing and Planning Association. He actually did a few presentations to the Select Board, the Planning Board, Housing Partnership and Trust. And unfortunately, he wasn't there tonight, but I'm using some of his slides just to explain it. So we are, as you can see on the map, we're an adjacent small community. So we're out on the outskirts of Boston, obviously. So why it was passed, we can go to the next slide. The MBTA Section 3A was passed basically to make housing more affordable and to have more multifamily housing options. So a starting salary for a Bourne teacher is $58,000. The income required to afford an average Bourne home, which is at $684,000 currently, is $164,000 salary. So the problem is middle-class people can't afford homes in Massachusetts and in Bourne. So a first-year Bourne teacher can afford to pay $1,450. The average one-bedroom rent right now in Massachusetts is about $2,400. And the monthly payment on an average Bourne home is $4,100. So it's pretty expensive. Next slide. So the housing became very expensive. As you can see from this slide, over the decades from 1960s up through 2010, it's supply and demand. So through 1960s to the 80s, there was a lot of construction going on and a lot of multifamily housing being constructed. The 90s, 2000, 2010, it really went down. And so there's a shortage of housing. And also we have, the seasonal housing pressures of Bourne as well. Next. So this chart shows, you can see the bottom blue line. That is people that are aged 25 to 44 years old are leaving Massachusetts faster than any other age group. 1 in 4 young people, they plan to leave Boston in the next 5 years. The reason is the cost of rent, job availability, and the availability to buy a home were listed as the top 3 reasons. Next. So with the MBTA, let me read this, what we're required to do here. So Bourne has, in 2020, Bourne had 11,140 homes total. So to meet the requirements for the MBTA Communities Act, the minimum multifamily housing capacity is 5%, which turns out to be 557 homes in Bourne. The minimum gross density requirement is 15 homes per an acre. And they can't be age restricted, and they have to be suitable for families with children. So there can be no bedroom or occupancy caps. Also, while there's no minimum land area requirements, half of the district must be contiguous, and non-contiguous portions have to be at least 5 acres in size. So what you can see from here is what does 15 units per acre look like near Bourne. So the first one is Wareham, and that is 0.11 acres, and that's 2 units, so it comes out to a density about 17 units per an acre. And then in Plymouth, there's 3 units that are on 0.18 of an acre, and the density is about 16.8 units per acre. And the next ones are Thomas Ave right here in Bourne, downtown. That's 7 units, and the acreage is 0.45, and the density is about 15.5 units per acre. The second one in Kingston is a little bit larger. That's 12 units on 0.85, and the density is 14 units per acre. So who does the missing middle housing serve? It really serves the missing middle, which is people who make $77,000, which is 80% of our area median income, and up to $164,000 is the income needed to afford a median home in Bourne. So the missing middle housing creates options for middle-class people and for people who don't want to live in single-family homes, such as seniors downsizing, young adults, divorced parents. So we can go to the next. Bourne's housing goals is, this is part of our local comprehensive plan and our housing production plan. It's to create an adequate supply of housing that's safe, healthy, and attainable for people of all income levels and diverse needs to purchase or rent. For multifamily housing, the MBTA Section 3A, it encourages the creation of housing near public transit to promote sustainable and walkable neighborhoods. For Bourne, I believe I read through that, but we're classified as an adjacent small town. Our minimum housing capacity is 557 homes. The minimum gross density is 15 homes per an acre. And there's no minimum land area requirements and no age restrictions. It has to be suitable for people with children. The only requirement with this zoning is to create the actual zoning to allow people the opportunity to build multifamily by right rather than by special permit. Right now, it's by special permit. Does not require Bourne to actually change any of the infrastructure for water or sewer or design or pay for new infrastructure to accommodate it. It does not supersede the Wetland Protection Act or Title V of the Mass Environmental Code. So, in working with the planning board, and we've had a lot of meetings to talk about it, we also consulted with the Cape Cod Commission and Barrett Planning Group to do the compliance modeling because it was very complicated, the modeling was. So the summary of the zoning article change is that it creates a new multifamily overlay district, MFOD, in Buzzards Bay. It allows multifamily housing, 3 or more homes, 2 family dwellings, permitted by right rather than special permit. Site plan review is still required. Parking requirements for the multifamily dwellings is reduced from 1.5 spaces to 1 space per home. And the base residential density was increased to meet the minimum MBTA requirements of the 557 homes and 15 homes per an acre. So we could probably skip through that one. Let me see. So we can go to the map here, and I think you can probably zoom in on the top. So this is downtown Buzzards Bay, and You can see the bypass is located on the north. That's highlighted in the red and the blue. And then Main Street is below Area 1 and 2. And so Area 1 is, it's actually, between Main Street and the bypass and kind of in the neighborhood of Cohasset Ave area. And it came out to 34.4 acres. And then the MFOD District 2 area is on the eastern side, between Main Street and the bypass in the area of Wagner Way and that area, and it's 10.8 acres. Next. So what we had to do with the modeling, and I think that we can scroll down a little bit more with that. Yeah, there we go. We evaluated all the land areas for contiguity, gross density, building setbacks, building height. Parcels designated as sensitive were removed, such as open space, wetland, public lands. Parcels located directly on Main Street were taken out because we actually have a ground floor limitation, which requires commercial on the first floor, or a special permit to have residential on the first floor. So mixed use is required on those parcels that front Main Street. And what we came out with was, you can see from here, the model results, Area 1 and Area 2, total 45.2 acres. The unit yield came out to 750 homes, and the gross density is at 16.6 acres. So we had to take out parcels that were not connected to the bigger mass of the two areas. And our dimensional regulations that we have is the minimum lot size is 3,500 square feet in our downtown, which yielded a gross minimum density of 25 units. So the 25 units you'll see in the zoning bylaw change, what happens is when you put in all of the land areas that were evaluated, you get to the 16.6. And I think next, the benefits of the housing is to have quality year-round housing, sustainable, to support our economy, to have more housing closer to the places we go in Buzzards Bay, such as restaurants, shops, Buzzards Bay Park, community building, Cape Cod Canal, and other amenities, and better access to work services and other destinations by increasing mobility and utilization of the public transit. And I know we don't have a commuter rail there right now, but back in 2015, town meeting voters adopted to become an MBTA community. So that's where we're at.
Sorry. Okay. I got a lot of questions for you.
Okay.
And I want to make sure that I understand what you're saying. So under this particular act, we have to put in, and I'm just going to round off numbers. We have to add 560 new homes?
The modeling results in the ability for a developer to put in multifamily housing in those two areas. And the modeling showed that it has the capacity to produce 750 units in those areas.
Okay. But because we're an MBTA community, we have to have X a number? Or we just have to make it available?
We have to have the zoning capacity.
Okay.
So we don't necessarily have to have the infrastructure, water, sewer, traffic control. We have to have the ability
A parcel of
for a developer to come in and under zoning, create, build at that density. Is that accurate?
By right.
By right.
Rather than by special permit.
Are we required by the MBTA to have any, in other words, are we required to have somebody build at least some units? No.
No.
So this is based on that zoning has been the largest barrier to creating more affordable housing. And over the years, you saw the reduction in the number of new homes built and middle price homes and apartments built. So we have to include the underlying zoning for the ability to create it. But knowing what both districts and the downtown Buzzards Bay area looks like, it's gonna take decades. There is no requirement to build anything,
Okay.
just to have the underlying zoning. And it gets complicated because we have to use their
Modeling.
matrix and modeling
Right.
to prove that we have applied all of their requirements, which shows the very large numbers of 25 per acre as a possibility. But within the areas that we have designated, because of lot sizes and so forth, the maximum would be 16.6 per acre. There'd be very little chance of somebody accumulating a block of individual homes
Right.
to create that. There's a few areas that it could occur, like the Liberty Liquors or those sort of things. But we just have to have the ability.
Okay.
So the major change is being able to do this without a special permit, is that?
Correct, by
Sort of
right.
reduce it to the, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to go in and buy up 5 houses, then they would have some land acreage and they could put in
Apartments.
apartments.
Yes, multifamily.
Okay. So the second half of that, the theory that I'm on is, and correct me because I don't know the number, are we required to have 10% affordable housing in town?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a different
Yeah, that is
statute.
very different.
Well, it's different, but if a builder came in and built some of these houses, would these be affordable units?
In our downtown, we have inclusionary zoning, so if it's more than 10 units, 10% are affordable.
Okay. But, and that number would go towards our 10%?
Towards the subsidized housing inventory, yes.
And what percent are we at now? Any idea?
We're at 7%.
7%.
And we actually just got a development coming in, I will tell you, off of Scenic Highway. The former Cape Cod Aggregates is applying for a Chapter 40B permit for 300 units there, 300 homes there. That will bring us to our 10%. And that application just came in last week.
Is that general housing or senior housing or
It's going to be it's family.
general? housing? Okay.
What if nobody wants to build up to the 10%? I know I'm not talking about this right now, but when we say we're required to have 10%, is that required, we're required to provide or be able, allow 10%, is that?
For the inclusionary zoning, is that what? So in the downtown, if you build 10 homes, 10% of those are required to be affordable. But so if you build 9, is that what you're asking?
We don't have to go out and build housing just to make 10%?
No.
Okay.
So, if I can add to that, if the town does not have 10% deed restricted on this subsidized housing inventory, then the town is essentially open to receiving a 40B development. If the town
Okay.
has 10% or more of its year-round housing stock deed restricted with all of these criteria on the SHI, then the town can say no thank you to a 40B developer. So it's a different, that's not MBTA. There is some, there is some overlap, but it's whether or not the town has to accept or can choose to accept.
And so if this goes through, you mentioned a beginning teacher makes $60,000 a year. There's no way that we can put in that local employees have priority of any of these houses or anything.
It's usually 70% local preference, but it's a lottery that's administered by,
That's a 40B.
oh, yeah.
That's but are you asking for MBTA?
Yes.
I don't think there's we cannot restrict
You can't
this
restrict
at
it at
all.
all.
As far
No,
as, yeah.
no.
And so we can't provide affordable housing to our town employees. We can't afford it to people that are local residents looking for a different place, or the elderly. And we can't restrict, in other words, if somebody buys one of these houses, they can then turn around and sell it to anybody they want for anything that they want, right?
The market
A market
houses,
rate.
Market
Not
Market
any
rate.
of the affordables. Those
Right.
are deed restricted
Okay.
perpetually.
And we can't prevent somebody from coming in and buying up several of these and then just renting them out? Or do they have to be owner occupied?
There's no, they can be for ownership or rental. There's no restriction to that.
The 40B provides a much higher percentage of affordable homes.
Right.
25 is typical.
25%, right.
Those things are negotiable town to town, but, and they're also restricted to a 20% profit when they present a 40B.
40Bs.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
this 300
Right, but that's
unit.
completely different from the MBTA. And we're
Right,
talking
but-
two different animals.
Right, but this 300-unit development should put us at the 10% affordable housing.
Oh,
So we
okay.
are no longer susceptible to somebody superseding permit with the state because we don't have 10% affordable housing.
Right. But we're still required, even if we meet the 10%, we're still required to make the availability of a section of town for MBTA housing.
For multifamily housing, yes. Yep.
It's similar to the ADU zoning that was put into effect in order to create more types of housing that can be more affordable through this zoning change. So if you're in an apartment complex where on 1 acre, they're able to develop, 15 or 16 units, you would hope that economically, it would be a lower cost and lower priced housing. That's the hope that they're creating. And to support proximity to public transportation, dynamic downtowns, those sort of things.
I do want to let the committee know maybe some of the consequences if we don't comply with MBTA zoning. We're not, some of this is unclear yet because it has not been fully tested by the courts. But what is clear is that Bourne is a small town adjacent community. And the requirement applies to us. That is clear and settled. The deadline is December 31st of this year to have the zoning put in place. If we don't have the zoning put in place by the deadline, it is pretty much guaranteed. I'm not gonna say it's 100% guaranteed, but it is, we have received very strong indication from the state that if we don't have it in place by the deadline, we will become ineligible for any grant funding from the state. So there could be significant consequences. So we routinely and regularly do apply through the state for grants. And this may, again, this is not tested by the courts, but this may even apply to things that are formula-driven, like Chapter 90 grants, Council on Aging grants, library grants. So there could be significant revenue side impacts. It is also, it is also possible that we would be subject to fines and penalties. So the Attorney General has issued guidance that towns who don't comply, again, maybe not immediately, and maybe it's unclear on how that process would work, but the state could take steps to levy penalties.
I believe that there's 3 or 4 communities that are in litigation with the state over this right now.
Those actually went to court.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Milton and those other
Yes,
communities?
yes.
No, the court upheld it that the MBTA communities, that they need to adopt it.
Okay.
And
So-
also.
So that's the answer to the question right there. The court has already adjudicated that the towns are required to do this.
Yes, and if.
All right, that is the discussion.
And it's possible, yeah, and if communities don't adopt it, the state can actually appoint somebody from the court to do the zoning. But if the town does adopt it on a positive note, that they have a community catalyst fund that you can apply for grants to do infrastructure, sidewalks, and improvements like that.
Is there any indication as to how many units may actually get built?
Not really, but we have seen, quite a bit of redevelopment and new development in town since 2019 was when it really started to pick up.
We have very limited parcels in these areas that could be acquired, assembling without a bunch of individual homeowners agreeing to that. So it's probable that there won't be any great growth within
Right.
the zone, but we are complying, and it is possible.
Will the towns to be able to regulate things like height, building heights?
Yep, so that's what the model put in was, by right, you can do 4 stories, and then there's certain setback requirements as well. So all of that information was put into the modeling, and that was the output that we received.
Amanda?
Is there a cost to becoming an MBTA community? I know we did it a long time ago.
That was tested by Duxbury and 3 other towns, that it was an unfunded mandate.
Yep.
And the Supreme Judicial Court said, no, it's not. There are literally, other than the creation of the zoning.
No, I mean.
Are
to
you
be-
asking, do we?
A yearly.
Didn't we pay to become?
Yeah,
an
there
MBTA?
is a yearly assessment.
Mm-hmm.
It's not large, but there is a yearly assessment. I do not recall off the top of my head what it is.
Is that from the 2015 community agreement, or is that new to this?
No, that's not new.
Yeah.
It's from when the town first entered into
Yeah, the
the
community.
deal.
agreement. Yep.
Can we get out of that?
Can we get out of it?
Not at this moment. Yeah, probably.
Definitely not before December 31st.
And I want to say that everything is on our website, so if you go to Town of Bourne, go to Planning, there's a lot of information on the MBTA. We've already had several meetings with other groups. We're going to be doing a lot of outreach up through special town meeting, and we'll be at Canal Day. We have a booth there, and we're just going to reach out to the community to really educate them on what it actually is.
Thank you.
And if I could just answer Amanda's question, the annual fee for fiscal '25 was just over $3,000 for MBTA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
it's
it's not-
it's
Okay.
not a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more questions, comments?
Well, just one. So I assume one of you will be presenting this at town meeting and all of the consequences that Marlene laid out for not complying, so voters will be more compelled perhaps to approve it?
And I will say, just kind of for your knowledge, because this is a zoning bylaw that creates housing, it is a simple majority. So whereas zoning is usually 2/3, this, I forget when that act was, a
That-
couple years ago.
The Affordable Homes Act
Yeah.
changed that.
Yeah, so when you see your book and you're like, oh no, this is zoning, it's supposed to be 2/3, that's not the case anymore.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, next correspondence.
I don't think you have any this time.
Oh, that's so sad. All right. Minutes, I think we're,
Didn't send any, I don't think.
yeah, sorry, we have to look at the minutes. We have to do minutes for June 30th, sorry. We don't have them today.
That's okay, you'll be meeting again.
Right, we'll be meeting again in a
Really?
week, right?
Yes, next Monday, the 22nd?
Yes.
We're going to try to have a capital outlay meeting before yours,
Yes.
before this meeting.
All right. Any, anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
There's a motion to adjourn by Amanda,
Second?
second by Wayne. Any further discussion on that motion? Okay, roll call vote, all in favor?
Yes.
Wayne,
Yes.
Amanda,
Yes.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Thank you, and the chair votes yes. Thank you.
How about Tom?
Huh?
Did you say yes?
You voted yes, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, yes.